We are here, the Business of Wholesaling podcast. I'm your host, Drew Carroll. I'm here with Sharad from REsimpli. Incredibly excited to be talking about your software and your journey. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me, man. Excited to be on the podcast.
We were just talking before recording, and it's interesting to hear that you also lived in Canada. So tell me, I know you started as a CPA, kind of started your professional career as a CPA. So tell me how you went from India to the United States, but also from like CPA into wholesaling and real estate investing as a whole.
Yeah, so I moved here for after high school for my college. Went to school in New York, got a job, moved to Chicago, working as an accountant. And about 2010, I wanted to start investing. Looked at stock market. I was investing, day trading. I was signed up for all these different websites. I'll give you penny stocks. Lost a lot of money in that. Yeah, definitely don't recommend that to anyone. But I've always been coming from an accounting background. I'd always been into personal finance. I would read a lot of blogs, and then I was reading a blog, and in the comment section, someone had mentioned about a book called Flip. I clicked on it, bought that book, and then from there, Amazon recommended another book called Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So I bought that book and like instantly, very relatable book. And I gravitated towards the idea of building wealth, buying rental properties. I come from India where people are very bullish on real estate. So it was always something, about real estate I felt very excited about, tangible assets. So I started buying rental properties, very passive and it kind of started growing from there. Then 2015 I moved from Chicago. I was living in Chicago, so I invested in Northwest Indiana. I was living in Chicago, moved to San Diego market where I live now, and that's when I kind of needed a software for myself. They looked at a couple of bunch of different software out there and then didn't find anything that I got excited about. People back then were pretty much using Podio, and I logged in for like a couple of minutes. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to use this. And then, yeah, it kind of just grew from there. But yeah, in between, I wanted to be, I loved the company that I was working at, but I did not like what I was doing. So at one point, I wanted to be a full-time poker player. I really got into it, absolutely sucked at it. The worst poker face. Like you'll know if I have pocket aces or a deuce and a seven. Yeah, I just absolutely sucked at it. Thankfully, I had enough self-awareness to realize that I suck at it.
That's interesting. That's funny. So it's like you weren't even a part of like the virtual poker boom. You were just like, I'm going to figure out poker. You're obviously a math guy.
Oh, I was going to casinos or playing online on Full Tilt and all these websites back in the day. Yeah, I would go to casinos. I would go to Indiana to play, and then you lost enough money to be like, yeah, this is not my calling in
Yeah.
this lifetime.
My brother almost dropped out of his PhD program due to online poker until, yeah, luckily he as well as you had enough self awareness to make the better choice. When you were in Chicago, you started investing in Indiana. How did you come to make that decision? Like, why weren't you just investing in Chicago?
My main goal for investing when I started out was to buy rental properties to get passive income. I wanted to get to a point where I had enough passive income coming in that I didn't have to work for anyone. So real estate seems like the thing to do. And then back in the day, this is like 2009, 10. 2010 is when I bought my first property. I started researching 2009. And I was pretty active on Bigger Pocket, and pretty much everyone was talking about, hey, if you're gonna buy rental properties, buy in a state that's landlord friendly. And then I was living in Chicago. Illinois is not landlord friendly at all. So then from the book that I read, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, it talked about, you draw like 1 hour driving distance radius from where you live. And Indiana happened to fall in that 1 hour drive. I was living in downtown Chicago, so Indiana happened to fall within 1 hour driving distance. I didn't even know that I was living right next to Indiana. That's how clueless I was until I kind of just drew that circle. I'm like, oh, Indiana. Then it got me curious, and then Indiana happened to be landlord friendly, and that's when, and it's practically a suburb of Chicago. It just happens to be in a different state. So I have an office there for my property management company. It's literally 30 minutes from downtown Chicago.
The book you're referencing, that was the Gary Keller book, correct?
Correct.
In Chicago, you're investing there. So then you've also now you moved to San Diego and you're still bullish in Indiana. Like you haven't like started investing in San Diego, you're still totally focused up there.
I didn't have enough money to invest in San Diego. And just again, San Diego being not landlord friendly, I had good operations in Indiana. When I moved, I was doing about 40, 50 flips a year. At that time, it just seemed like, like I have good operations. I wanted to just continue doing more of that.
I guess I see this from some of our clients and things like that. That people get excited about scale and they shift markets when they're looking at scale, and it seems to kind of be to their detriment. In your opinion, have you like lucked out and Indiana just kind of worked and you just doubled down? You knew the area, so you're fine with it. What do you think other investors should be doing when they're looking to scale their companies? Is it doubling down, or is there like a framework or a box that you would look at to look at other markets?
I would say doubling down. Yeah, for me, that's worked out really well. Just focusing on Indiana, knowing Indiana really well, and then if a deal comes across, I don't have to think about the numbers. I know, what price it's going to make sense at. I'm in a small market. This year we'll do about 30 deals without me being more than 5 minutes a day involved in the business, which I'm happy with. But if my goal was to do 300 deals a year, I would need to expand to a different market. So you're going to get to a point where it's going to start getting saturated. But before you get to that point, you need to realize you need to be true to yourself if you've actually gotten to that phase, or you are trying to take an easy way out and just go into a market and you feel like that'll be easy. Like for us, we use you guys for our marketing lead solo. So I talked to my my lead manager, and I said, hey, let's just increase our budget on lead solo. We're getting good leads. Let's just double down on it and see how much we can ramp that up before we feel like, okay, we have, exhausted this marketing channel. So that's where I think people make mistakes. They're too quick to jump from one marketing to another. It's like going to a gym, right? I mean, it's pretty basic. Like you gotta go every day, or you gotta go regularly, eat healthy. There's like no secret to it. There's no secret to getting in better shape. You work out, whether you go to a gym and take care of your diet. Like those are the two variables that you can control. I go to F45, my wife goes to Orange Theory. They both work. But I prefer F45. It's right down the street from where I live. I can commit to it going 4 or 5 days a week. But if I go there for a week, I don't get six packs, and I say, okay, I'm going to go to Orange Theory and I'm going to hope to get six packs. That doesn't happen. Then I go to Planet Fitness or whatever gyms are out there. It's kind of people, I'm sure you guys see it all the time. People try you guys out for like a month, don't get a deal. They're like, hey, lead zero doesn't work. I'm going to go try something else. So I think that's where you have to be like honest to yourself, that is it the marketing that doesn't work, or I didn't give it fair chance for it actually to work. Like, just using the same analogy of working out, I can in business and real estate investing business, it's not a complicated business. It's a marketing heavy business. You market, whether like we use lead solo, we use direct mail, we use other marketing channels, but for us, lead solo, okay, leads are coming in. If other investors are closing deals from it and we're not, like it's clearly not the marketing channel. The lead source doesn't suck. We are not doing something that's not working out. Maybe we don't have a good speed to lead. Maybe we don't have a good follow process. So, once you feel like you've gotten to the point that you've absolutely used it to the point like maximum usage of it, and then you feel like, okay, I'm fully utilizing this marketing channel. Now I feel like, okay, I need to get into another marketing channel. I think that's what investors are pretty quick to, hey, let me try lead solo for a month. Let me see if I get a deal. No, let me go try cold calling. Let me go try direct mail. And in the end, nothing ends up working out for them.
And yeah, exactly the same pattern as dieters and things like that. They did keto for 3 days, and now they're going to try paleo, and
Right.
now they're going to try this, and they've never given one thing a long enough chance. They haven't done enough iterations. It's like Hormozy says, like give yourself an unreasonable enough reps that it's just unreasonable that you would fail at it. And I
Right.
think that most of us are guilty of that when it comes to marketing or sales or anything, that we shiny object from one thing to another before ever perfecting any
Yeah.
one thing.
It's more exciting to jump from one thing to another, but the hard work is to commit to something day in, day out and just stick with it. So, yeah.
It's like we were looking at Inc. 5000 a while ago, is one of, we're hoping to place in next year. So, and it was interesting if you look at like the top 10 companies in the Inc. 5000, right? They're like 50-year roofing companies, like they're whole like HVAC companies, things that have like that are boring industries that they've just iterated on year after year after year after year, and they just keep getting growth. It's not, Nvidia obviously is crushing it, and Facebook and these software companies, but I think that people look at them like it should be the norm, and they want their wholesaling company or real estate investing to boom like that, like those types of businesses, when really they're the anomalies. And we should really be looking at other models and other business models that that are more closely replicatable to real estate investing, like HVAC and roofing, and that it just takes time and iteration. So you start a property management company. That would be, if I'm talking to somebody who's doing 10 or 20 flips a year, that I would talk them out of starting a construction company or potentially a property management company, because I would say it's probably a distraction. So at what point did you decide to start a property management company, and when would you suggest that other investors should look at that as a vertical integration, as growing their business portfolio versus a distraction?
I mean, in hindsight, if I had found a good property management company, I would have never started my own. So I own about 60 rental properties of my own. So I need a good property management company for my business. So I'd hired this property management company. They were working out great for the first year or so, and then they started stealing money. They were just, you could clearly tell there's something fishy going on. And at that point, and then my business is we flip houses. A lot of the houses that we were flipping back in the day, it's not the same anymore because of the interest rate, but we were flipping to other investors, selling them as turnkey property. So we needed to have a good experience after we sold them the property to make sure the property management company was taking care of them. We didn't want to be in a situation where, hey, they have amazing experience buying the house, but then we hand them off to someone and the experience is not consistent with what they had felt leading up to the sale. So that's where the reason came in. If I did not have my own rental properties and I was not so heavily involved in turnkey property, I would never start a property management company.
So it was about owning the customer journey for the turnkey.
Correct.
That's interesting. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
It's just
So
property management business just sucks. Like you're serving, it's a marketplace, you're serving tenants, you're serving owners. Nobody ever likes you. They're always complaining. It's a tough business to be in. But yeah, it's because of my rental properties and then the turnkey business that kind of made me start a company.
I have a friend, Brady McDonald, and he says the two things you always want to avoid are tenants and toilets. And property
Hmm.
management companies like specialize in dealing with those two things. Gluttons for pain, it was his point. When did REsimpli come in? I guess my overall impression here is that you're constantly looking for optimizing and simplicity, right? Like, why would you do anything outside of Indiana? You found what worked, you just kept doubling down. Marketing, you're big on direct mail for a long time. Now you're using us, which is awesome, and you just kind of keep doubling down and iterating on that. So REsimpli, to me, looks like it's an all-in-one software, right? So you've simplified
Right.
CRM from DocuSign
Yeah.
to
Lead management,
reporting, lead
acquisition.
management.
Yeah, acquisition, disposition, your marketing, that was the goal. So where we
Mhm.
simply came about was 2015, August 2015, I moved from Chicago to Carlsbad, where I live now, San Diego area. And I was thinking about 40, 50 flips a year doing marketing. I needed something for myself. So I research what I can, find. And again, back then everyone was using Podio. I logged in for like 2 minutes and I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to use this. It's absolutely sucks. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I didn't understand why would anybody use that. So I looked around for another year or two, didn't find anything. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hire a couple of developers to create something for myself, very specific to my business. And my thought process was, okay, if it works out for me, great. The money that I'm gonna invest, it's gonna add enough value for me in my flipping business, but it's gonna be worthwhile. So when we started out, we had three non-negotiable. It had to be an all-in-one software where everyone on my company could be on one software, from marketing to sales to disposition to my bookkeeper account. And I come from an accounting background, so it was important to like truly have an end-to-end journey from doing marketing, pulling lists or whatever you're using, and then going all the way to even doing your bookkeeping, within accounting within REsimpli. So that's kind of what we offer. So that was the first non-negotiable all-in-one software. And then the second was it had to be super simple to use, where it wasn't complicated. I think that was influenced from going into Podio and then seeing how complicated it is. And that's why
Yeah.
we named the company REsimpli. And third was coming from an accounting background and also investing from out of state. It had to give me really good KPIs so I could make data-driven decisions. So just my background coming from accounting, and then I moved from Chicago to California, where I live now, investing out of state. So that heavily influenced kind of the journey of REsimpli. If I was in Indiana, investing in Indiana, maybe I probably would have, I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe I would have never come up with the idea. I would not have seen a need for it. I would have just been happy with the inefficiencies that I had. It would have kept me busy. But that's where the need came from. And, then it just started, we created something. And then it just kind of grew from there where, I would go to masterminds, talk to other investors what I'm doing, and they would always get curious about, hey, what software are you using? Can I use that? And just kind of grew from there.
I can tell you that CRMs are probably the most competitive software in this whole space. As my company integrates with everybody's CRM, it's honestly an inside joke in our company as to like what new name are we going to hear today? Because there's 10 CRMs and then there's like the white label and instances on top of everything people are building and marketing. So it's quite interesting. How did you know, like, or I guess at what point did you know that REsimpli was a great solution for this industry and wasn't just like something you built for yourself and a few people were interested in? Like, at what point was there kind of a tipping point where you're just like, oh wow, like this could really be something that we're going to scale to a $5 million a year business?
2019, I had pretty much given up the idea of it just got to the point it started to become almost a distraction for me from my house flipping business. So as part of this mastermind called Multipliers, and I went in there, and I had pretty much gone in there with the I don't know if it was 2018 or 19, 19 I think. I'd gone in with the idea of just like shutting down. So my this was February 2019, I believe. I'd gone in, just decided, hey, you know what? Let me go to this mastermind. I'm gonna just shut it down after that. It's keeping me distracted. It was a great mastermind, surrounded by amazing entrepreneurs. And then it made me kind of look within and see, okay, where do I see adding value beyond just like flipping houses? Like it made me look at a bigger purpose, made me go down this journey. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it everything that I have for another year or two and see how I can add value. And then through that mastermind, I ended up connected with Ryan Dossi. That kind of changed our journey, honestly, just connecting with him. He has spent a bunch of money. He's the owner of, for anybody who doesn't know, he's the owner of Call Porter and Ballpoint Marketing and CCF Mastermind. Absolutely amazing guy. So we connected. He had spent a lot of money building out his portfolio, and then he and I connected. I did a demo to him. It's like, hey, I love this. Can I launch it to my community? And then it was in 2020, and yeah, beginning of 2020 that we launched this community, and we had like 40, 50 people sign up in a month. I'm like, holy shit, like this can actually be something. I think that's when I realized, I mean, anytime you start a company, like I'm sure you felt the same way, it becomes like a baby that you're raising. It's like a child that you're raising. And you take the kid out in the public, you don't want anybody to say, hey, your kid sucks. They're not good at this, they're not good at that, you have an ugly kid. I think that that's something I struggle with. I could have launched recently earlier, but I wanted to just keep tweaking it, keep making it better and better. And then I connected with Ryan Dossi. He's like, hey, this is great. Can I launch it out? And then like people are like, oh, this is awesome. I'm like, wow, we haven't even done like 10% of what we have vision for, and people already find value in it. And that's when can you realize. And then you had a couple of other people. Like I remember doing a demo call with Dean Rogers, and he was using big investor doing hundreds of deals a year using Google Sheets. I'm like, man, this is exactly what I was looking for. And then like, wow, it's actually not that bad what I've built. And then we're working on a pretty massive update, our biggest update to date that's going to come out in the next 6 months or so. And I'm like, I've never been more excited about what we're working on until this, like to the point where I'm handing off a bunch of stuff to our team. I'm stepping back from a lot of things and just focusing on like our next release. So, I mean, it takes a while to get to the point, where you feel like, oh wow, this is actually pretty cool what you built.
So real estate's now the side hustle. Like this is ever since making that commitment, ReSimpli is your main focus.
I mean, I would say in last 3 years or so, it kind of became the main focus. It got to the point where, I mean, I still had to make sure that I was making enough money. I own 100% of the company. I've invested a lot of money into it. We were losing money for first 3, 4, 5 years. So, I mean, this is something, I mean, going back to kind of what we were talking about, sticking it out and, just sticking with it and knowing, having a belief that it is going to work out. Similar to like marketing, if you commit to something, you have to give it enough time. And then, then that's kind of in last 3 years or so, it kind of became cash flow positive. I'm like, okay, I can start focusing a little bit more on this and then start handing off my real estate business to someone else.
I love to hear that point that you're talking about with, you know, it's like it's almost like you're bringing it to market somewhat unintentionally, but intentionally, and the thought that like this is only 10% of the vision of what I wanted it to be. That's it's a crossroads of where we're at with our platform right now as well. Like when we get on dev meetings, we got in these meetings to talk about like we should bring on clients because we have this group of people who are asking us for access to our software, but we have to measure or we have to weight features and development that we would need to bring on new clients versus this huge list of all these features and ideas that we have that we want to build to better serve our clients on the lead Zolo
Right.
side. And they're always very entertaining calls because you never know which side the C-suite's going to swing at any given moment. Because it's exciting. Like it's exciting to bring your baby into public and to see public's reaction. And is somebody going to say you have an ugly baby, or is everybody going to walk around completely enamored with it? And it's interesting. Software has been an interesting journey for us anyways.
It's tough, man. I mean, looking back, working with my business coach, working with my team, I realized like looking back, like over last year, so we made some decisions in hindsight we could have kind of not made. Nothing horrible, but just like some distractions that kind of seeped in on the marketing side, CS side, and then took away from kind of what our big vision is. But yeah, I mean, like people are, always excited about giving, their opinion, their feedback on something, but then you have to go through that, filter through that feedback and say, okay, what is it that's actually going to move the needle for the long term? Is it something that a specific investor will find value in? Is it something that is actually going to revolutionize, this market, this industry as a whole? And I believe the things that we're working on for our next release, I truly believe that's like the next level thing. I've shown it to a couple of people, just like mock-ups and stuff. They're like, wow, this is exactly what, we would love to have. So that's the stuff that gets me super excited.
Are you able to give us a peek behind the curtain of the new release? Like, what is it that you're so excited about?
It's basically we're just redoing the entire platform from grounds up, just going into every single detail of every single thing that we have and just redoing everything, like lots and lots of automation. We're adding, it's still about 4 to 6 months away at least, but it's going to be pretty good. I'm pretty excited to the point where like I'm stepping away from a lot of things. I do weekly mastermind call. We're going to bring someone else on to start doing that. And then like a lot of things that like I'm going to start stepping back from that just to be hyper focused on that.
When did you launch like the AI integrations, like the agents, like voice follow and speed to lead? Has that been something you guys have had for a little while now?
The inbound voice AI has been for 4 months, but the other AI agents have been there for a couple of months. Yeah, they've been going really well. Yeah, really good feedback on those. Yeah.
What do you think is the most surprising way AI has changed your wholesaling and your investment company? Like, has anything surprised you so far with introducing these like voice follower, speed to lead, or anything else?
The easiest use case that we've seen is like we don't have voicemail in our business anymore. Like voicemail is basically dead. My team doesn't pick up, it goes to AI. So that's what I tell people. Like you should not have voicemail. Like voicemail is, yeah, it should be dead in your business. That's what I'm noticing more and more investors doing is it goes to their team first. It's the AI is not at the level where it's going to be as good as humans. Not yet. I think we're still some time away. But for call to come in, AI answer that call, If your team doesn't answer, it goes to AI. AI never misses a call. So you essentially have absolute no need for a voicemail.
Interesting. And so how does that workflow work? I'm sure it's highly nuanced and there's different types of them, but just kind of in general, like how does your company use that, like the AI voicemail? Is it effectively like,
It's not a voicemail, it's actually AI answering your call. So imagine like a typical call flow that you would have. It goes to your team. If your team doesn't answer, it goes to a voicemail. And you hope people will leave a voicemail. So for us, it's the same thing. Goes to our team, rings them for 20 seconds. If they don't answer, AI answers the call. So then there is no need for voicemail because it's AI is going to answer every single call. AI is never going to miss a call, so it never goes to a voicemail for us.
and so what is that AI agent's role? Like, what is it doing? It's obviously, because like you said, it's not quite there, right? So there's going to be latency and things like that. So
It's not the latency, but it's the sound is it's gotten better, honestly, even in last 3, 4 months, but it's still a little like maybe because I'm so closely involved in this, maybe I can tell it right away, but I have been other people listening like, oh, it sounds just like a human, but I'm like, oh, I can tell the difference maybe because I'm so involved in it. It's not the latency, it's like it sounds a little bit robotic, so those sort of things. But again, there's technology out there that's going to improve it in next 6 months to a year. It's going to keep getting better. But yeah, imagine like having 100% answer rate in your business. If you are ever missing a call, if your answer rate is not 100%, you have to use AI. If you're spending all this money on marketing and you're not even answering all the calls that come in, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice.
so that agent then is effectively like setting an appointment for somebody to call that person back.
Correct. You could have it set up an appointment, do a live transfer, or you could just have the AI say, hey, someone from our team is going to give you a call back. They'll ask for a best day and time. And then the AI will just say, okay, we're going to have someone from our team call. And honestly, like 95% of people calling in, they don't even realize they're talking to an AI. Even though we have it where it says, hey, this is an AI voice assistant. I forgot what exactly it says, but it identifies like, hey, this is Jane with Max Outspires. I'm an AI phone agent. How can I help you? 95% of people, or even more, don't even care about that. They'll just have a conversation.
We've all been so terribly conditioned with like phone banking over the last 20 years, I think,
Yeah.
that people probably welcome something that almost seems helpful. It reminds me of we had a client previously to us launching like Juice, which is our software, which is like our portal. If anybody listening or any of our clients who are listening would see or you would have seen. But prior to that, like we were Google Sheets and leads were delivered onto a Google Sheet and an email. And we had a client come on and they bought like a 30 lead package and we delivered them all in a week. And then we got a call back from her a week later going like she only contacted like the 30 leads. And we couldn't understand why. And we're following up with the leads for her. And it turns out that the week that we delivered a lead, she went on vacation and it took her an entirely other week before she even started following up on those leads.
Right.
And it was mind boggling to us. And she was very successful. Like she was quite a successful wholesaler. And it was mind boggling to us that like that's just how she operated and how now over, 3,000 clients later, a lot of people really are sleeping on speed to lead and really are sleeping on getting in front of somebody when they call. You imagine if you walk into your basement and there's a pipe burst and there's water everywhere, you're not going upstairs and looking up a plumber online and filling out a form and sitting there and waiting a week for them to call you back, right? You're filling out every form and you're calling every plumber that you can until you get a hold of somebody. And I think a lot of people who are in distressed situations, I think some wholesalers sleep on how motivated they really are and think that they're just going to wait around for them to call them back. So
Oh
these
yeah.
AI agents that you guys use, I think are going to be a game
Yeah.
changer for a lot of
Oh yeah.
people.
We have an AI agent. It's called Speed to Lead, where it immediately calls the lead back. Like imagine you get a lead from Lead Solo, and AI immediately calls them, like within 5 seconds of them submitting a form. Like imagine talking to a seller when they submit a form. You do two things. You talk to them when they have the highest motivation because they're going to a website filling out a form. And secondly, you prevent them from going and filling out other forms. You can do these two things, like talking to a seller when they fill out a form, and then prevent them from going and filling out other forms. And then AI will walk them through a conversation and then book an appointment for you. Then you're doing yourself such a huge disservice if you're not getting in touch with the lead. If you're spending all this money, you don't get in touch with them, you miss calls, you don't make outbound calls immediately, then you're going to have a much lower conversion.
Where do you think things are going to be in 3 to 5 years with all of this? Do you think that like sales is going to be completely automated?
3 to 5 years is a very, very long time. Honestly, like if you had asked me a year ago, where would be right now, I would not have guessed that. I would not have guessed that AI we would be so heavily focused on AI that we're right now. I would not have guessed that, but it's hard to say. But yes, I mean, I don't see why sales would not be hugely impacted by AI. So our vision is to basically get investors to the point where everything that they need to do in their business on acquisition disposition side, that anything leading up to getting them appointments, AI would be doing that. So AI is not actually going to go on appointment, like, but anything leading up to that, AI is going to do that. Same thing on the disposition. Anything leading up to getting buyers in the door, showing them the house, AI is going to do that. So we're trying to move as fast as we can. There are some limitations to the technology, but we're trying to make sure we stay ahead of that curve. Maybe it'll happen in 6 months, maybe it'll happen in a year, but I don't see why it would not happen in next 3 to 5 years. Like you're not going to need as many lead managers, you're not going to need as many acquisition managers, and you'll have a very high efficient, highly profitable business with very little or with a lot less people involved in your business.
Right, really simplifying your business. Yeah, it just makes me wonder. I'm always so curious what other people see and think, because I'm a big fan of OpenAI and ChatGPT. Their voice, whatever, functionality has been great. But then I just got Grok 4 48 hours ago, and that has blown me away compared to what I'm used to with Gemini or OpenAI. And so now I'm sure they'll all keep leapfrogging each other, right?
Right.
But it'll be so interesting. Like I can't fathom in 3 years
Yeah.
where this could be at, how people perceive it, right? Because if we went back 15 years from now and we said that like every time you went online you're going to get served 30 ads in an hour, everybody would think that we're all schizophrenic, and how would you ever adopt to that and just be noise, where people kind of get used to it. So I wonder how used to being dealing with AI voice bots or AI agents or AI ads, AI videos. Like, it's so interesting to me how we'll perceive these things in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
future.
like some of the AI video technology out there, it's going to become, you're going to start questioning everything. Hey, is it real or is it fake?
Yep.
I mean, that's just going to happen. That's the nature of the beast, the AI that we're dealing with, that it's going to become more and more difficult. So you want to look at the positive of that when someone calls in and then AI gives them such a human-like experience that they don't even realize that they're talking to an AI, and AI answers every question that they have, takes them to through the entire, sales process and sets up an appointment. Like imagine getting a lead from Lead Solo. AI calls them immediately, sets up an appointment, and does all the follow-up. You just go on the appointment, make an offer, get the property under contract, and then that's pretty much it. And then you get the property under contract. Now AI reaches out to all your buyers, negotiates, like sets up open house or whatever you want them to do, gets their offer, and then you just go in and accept an offer from them.
Well, and virtual assistants, right? You have experience with the virtual assistants and training them, correct?
Right.
What do you think, like wholesalers or investors now, like people who've only done a few deals and they're looking to really get into this industry and grow, where do you think they should be looking in regards to AI and VAs currently that isn't a distraction? Because a lot of this can be distraction, right? So obviously you have solutions with REsimpli, but how do VAs fit into that, and where do you think people should be focused first?
Like when you look at the different challenges that you have in the business. So if you're doing marketing, the number one thing should be you're spending money on marketing and you have incoming calls, you gotta answer the call. You cannot, absolutely cannot miss a call. So if you're not answering a call, you gotta start with an AI that answers the call. I mean, ideally you want to have it go to a human at this point, but at least have an AI as a backup. So get rid of voicemails. So every single call should be answered. That's like that should not even be a question that where you're missing a call. So every call should be answered. That's number one. And the next one would be you have an inbound web lead coming in. You should immediately be within seconds calling that person out. So those are like the basic things, whether you have speed to lead AI, we have a manual speed to lead where it calls your team and then connects your team with the seller. You could do that. The other would be where people struggle with is you have a lead that you've been following up with, a lead sends you a text message and you don't respond back immediately. So so we have a conversational AI that automatically does that. A lead sends you a text message back, it responds back with very contextual information with the idea of booking an appointment for you, getting the person to agree to a phone appointment or in-person appointment. So that at a minimum, you absolutely have to do. You're spending all this money in marketing, at the heart of what we're doing, it's essentially a marketing business. The better you are with marketing, the more money you're gonna make. So how you improve on marketing is the money that you spend on marketing, how you get higher ROIs, answering every call, getting back to seller immediately, and then you get a web lead, call them immediately. Like those are the things that absolutely should be doing. And then you get into a little bit on the sales and operations side, then we have AIs built in that can analyze every single call, give you a grade. You can record in-person meeting. It can analyze your in-person meeting. It can score your leads. But those are more on the operation side. But on the front end, answering call, responding back to sellers through text message immediately, and then also like, inbound leads, like speed to lead, like those are absolutely fundamentals to a business.
Do you think there are opportunities for newer mid investors in terms of how to make more money per lead? Like everybody preaches increasing assignment fees, and I think that's fine so long as you can do it. But do you think gone will be the world where all you can do is wholesale because you need to be adding other dispo strategies to try and capture more deals on the leads that are coming in? Or do you think that if wholesalers just double down and keep refining their skills at wholesaling, that that's still viable to do?
I mean, I believe it is. There's a huge opportunity. If everyone looked at their business, there's a huge opportunity. If they do not have 100% call answer rate, that immediately should change. Like right now, that should change immediately. You get a lead from LeadZola, it takes you, more than 15, 20 minutes to call the lead back. Like that should immediately, you should be calling back every single lead within 60 seconds, any web lead that comes in. If you're not doing that, that should immediately change. And then I feel like people don't go deeper into efficiency and they go into, hey, what's the next easier thing for me to do? I think going deeper into efficiency, like how can I make my business more efficient? And doing some of the boring things in the business, like looking at your P&L every single month, going line item by line item, and seeing where do I have efficiency. Looking at your marketing KPIs. Hey, let me look at LeadZola, let me look at my direct mail, let me look at my cold calling, let me see how much money I spent on each of these marketing channels. For every dollar that I put in, how much money is coming back into the business. If you're not doing that, and you go into another market, you're going to take the inefficiencies that you have into another market, into another marketing channel. So until you fix the habits that you have, then there's no point of trying new things, and you're just finding more ways to burn through the money faster.
I think that's an incredible tip for a lot of early entrepreneurs who don't spend enough time looking at the P&L and L and doing the boring stuff, as some people would say, right? Like it is the chopping wood and carrying water. It is scrutinizing the P&L. It is looking at your sales process over and over again. It is segmenting where your leads and marketing is coming from and really looking at ROI per channel that help people scale. And I think that there's this perception that if you need to scale, like just add another marketing channel and you'll get more leads and you can scale. I strongly believe that that's not where scale is. I think that most people, most companies, most entrepreneurs are looking to get to the next level. That next level is already in your business. You just need to dig deeper for it. Like for us, like I can speak personally for LeadZola, like there's only so much scale. There's only so many investors who are going to fit the PPL model. But within those investors, there are people who are buying PPL leads, but then also have a PPC management company and a YouTube management company and a Facebook management, and they're doing direct mail and whatnot. So for us, it's about how do we cater more towards those people rather than how do we get more, like how do we have a wider reach and a bigger net to get more investors into the PPL. That was a hard shift for us. It took us a year to really realize that. Through that, we've had tremendous amount of growth over the last few months, just focusing on that 80-20 and who that we already have could we serve better and make better offerings for.
I mean, answers to all the problems that you have in your business are right there in front of you. It depends how much you're gonna look for them, how deep you're gonna go into them. If you're gonna put your head in the sand, then that's the choice that people are making. But like I promise, like every single problem that people have in their investing business or any business, if they looked at their financials, looked at their data, they would know what's wrong with their business. They would know where to improve the business. So yeah, people are not doing that, and then they're just avoiding problems and then, looking at the easier route and then hoping that they'll find a solution.
Right. Like skills are skills. Like you don't see anybody in the NBA trying to learn a new jump shot, right? They're just
Yeah,
going back into the court and practicing it 300 times every single day and just getting better and
100%.
better at it. What would you say are some of like the top software and process errors that like mid-level investors and wholesalers make when trying to scale? In this, I'm thinking like fragmented CRMs and Google Sheets and the kind of mess that we can all get into as we scale. Like, what do you think are just like very common, like, ooh, when you see this, you probably need to refine or need to shift gears a little bit?
Just in my opinion, what I've noticed, people think their business is more unique than it really is. I think people feel like they need something complicated. They need something super custom for it to do something special that they have. And it's for vast majority, 99% of the people, I don't think that's the case. We see people, use REsimpli, they scale it to a point, and then they feel like, hey, I need to find a different software that caters to my growing business. And then we'll notice people switch to a Salesforce or go high level, and then 6 months or a year later they come back. I think people mistake that something that's simple to use is not going to be very powerful. They feel like they need something custom. I mean, we have guys that are doing 30, 40 deals a month using the exact same system that we built out that beginners are using. And you see the beginners get to a point they're like, oh, I need something to scale my business. I'm like, really? Like, is that is that really something that you need? Or you're using it as an excuse where, you want to go find a different problem that's not should not even exist in your business. It's like me saying, hey, F45 is not a good gym when I clearly see, people that are going there consistently are having benefits from it. If I'm not putting in the reps, like I can't expect to get value out of it. That's the number one thing we notice where people just unnecessarily make their business more complicated than it needs to be. Focusing on the fundamentals, focusing on the basic thing, 99% what you need to do, that's the solution out there. Look, I run a pretty large company and this is what I use. This is what I use. I have a notebook and a pen. As I'm talking to you, if I have anything, I'll just write down. And that's the system that I have. This is the one that I commit to. This is the one that, I use day in, day out. I take it with me every single time. And then a couple other things. If I have, as I'm walking or something, I have an idea. I have a voice note app. I just record a note, come back, write it in my diary, and that's it. Like that's what I use. I don't feel like, I need something super complicated, but that's where I feel like people just unnecessarily try to complicate their lives.
Yeah, and it's just really a form of procrastination, right? Like we're great at creating issues so that we can avoid what the real issue is. I love the analogy of the notebook. I was just speaking my brother works at Meta and he's a very very busy person and we were joking the other day about digital note-taking apps. And he said, "Yeah, what a waste of time. And like what a bunch of lost time." He's like he spent so many hours watching YouTube videos and creating Obsidian vaults and different ways of creating of managing Apple Notes. Is like at the end of the day, what you just need is something that you can write down an idea in and know where to go find it should you need it again. And 90% of the time, you'll never need it. But the process of writing it down is what's important.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have this timer. Like when I'm working on something, I'll set the timer. And then I'm like, okay, this time I cannot check my phone. And then I have an analog one and I have a flip phone that I use. So when I'm working on something, I'll tell my team, hey, I'm working on something important. Here's my number for a flip phone. If you need anything, just call me for anything urgent. Like right now, my phone is switched off. If something really just catastrophe happened, then they'll call me on my flip phone. That's when I know it's a true emergency. But otherwise, I'll try most of the days to just keep my phone on airplane mode. But that just gives me peace of mind, lets me focus on not necessarily just work, like just like sometimes take a break from, just like regular stuff, go out for a walk and get some fresh air.
That's awesome. It's like the Dan Kennedy fax machine. Like just create an environment where you can focus without distractions. I like
Yeah,
that a lot. So you're doing 30 flips a month currently, right? In Indiana?
a year, 30
A
flips a
year.
year, a year.
So
Yeah, not flips, but I would say 30 deals. We've
deals.
done a lot of wholesale deals. Yeah.
In that business, it's like 5 minutes a day of your time. How does that look? Like, how does the org chart look? Like, obviously, you can't get into everything, but like, Tell me how that business is laid out, because my I'm assuming it's pretty simple and effective and efficient, so that you're able to just do that.
My project, so all the flips that we do are in Indiana, but my project manager who manages everything actually also lives in California. She lives an hour north of me in Corona, California. She's been with me, Claudia, she's been with me for 6, 7 years since I moved. Like actually more than that. Yeah, 8, 9 years maybe. And then I have my lead manager slash disposition manager, Jay. He is in Philippines. And then 3 months ago, we hired a local acquisition person in Indiana. So that's our business. We didn't even have anyone local until about 3 months ago. And then Jay, my lead manager, he was acting as an acquisition manager. He suggested that, hey, we should bring someone in person because we feel like we're leaving some money on the table. Again, going back to not optimizing for the highest ROI. If we are just saying, hey, we're doing about 20 deals, 25 deals a year, let's just go into another market with the same model, then we're leaving money on the table. So he suggested that, hey, why don't we hire someone local? I feel like we can get a few more deals, and we immediately, like last quarter, we closed 11 or 12 deals last quarter, and last quarter was when we hired her. So we definitely see a correlation between having an in-person in our business and then doing more deals. So yeah, that's something that's worked really well. But it's a very simple business. I jump on a huddle with my team at 7:30 my time for like 5 minutes, just going over any major issues, anything that I need to make a decision on. That's pretty much it.
And how about ReSimpli? Is it the same? Like, obviously, you have more employees and it's a bigger company and you're more involved in it. But do you, like, org chart wise, is it pretty simple as well, or how does that look?
Yeah, so I don't have many direct reports. The head of marketing, CS, and the CTO. Those like are like the mainly the three people that I connect with on a regular basis. But other than that, yeah, like they do their own thing. The head of marketing, the head of CS, like they know what they need to do. They do their own thing. I don't get too involved in it. But where my true passion is on the product side, I've never felt as excited as I'm right now working on things that we're working on. That's the stuff I want to keep doing more of. That's the stuff I feel like I add the most value to the business. I'm not going to be the best at marketing that my team needs to be. I'm not going to be the best at CS. I'm not going to be the best at, I'm not a coder, so I'm not going to be good on the tech side. But I'm going to be good is, okay, let's just work on something that a lot of things people are expecting, but a lot of things that people are not even realizing it's possible, but let's make it possible for them.
Looking ahead, like we talked about, like AI agents and sales, and what that could potentially look like in the future. Do you think that there's any other like tech or marketing trends that would disrupt the wholesaling industry over the next 3 years?
I think it's the laws that some states or cities are passing. I think that I see as a bigger problem that you don't really have for the most part, you don't have an influence on. State of North Carolina is doing, or Pennsylvania made it where you have to have a wholesaling license. Assignment is illegal in Illinois. I think those are the things that I would be more concerned about than the new tech. New tech is just a more efficient way to do the things that you've been doing. But if someone prevents you from things that you need to do, then what do you do about that?
Why do you think they're trying to regulate it so much? Like do you think it'll be widespread across America over time? Like for what purpose? Like are they trying to regulate it to protect sellers? I would imagine. I guess I'm not clear on why. Why there's like, I know they're afraid of the daisy chaining, but I'm not sure why. I don't understand why.
I think it's to protect the sellers. It's easier to have some sort of like a blanket law to keep the bad actors out. So if you have the SMS marketing is not as prevalent as it used to be like 3, 4 years ago, but now you have A to B 10 DLC regulations, like you have to have your company registered and go through that process. But if everyone had been using that technology properly and not like just endlessly spamming people, we would not get to the point where we're at right now, where like, imagine 3, 4 years ago how easy it was to be a wholesaler. You could go to a website, pull a list, skip trace, start texting all within like 5 minutes, like cold texting. Like how easy was it that anybody could say, hey, I want to be a wholesaler? And this is like one of the only businesses that I can think of where anybody could say I'm an investor, and then you can question. Like my parents were in town and they left, from India, and they left last week. They could say, hey, Sharad, I'm a real estate investor. Like I would have no way to say that. But if they said I'm a real estate agent or I'm a plumber, I'm an electric, I would ask, like, do you have a license to show that you are in that business, but you don't have anything like that for investor. So it's easy to get into the business. There's absolutely no barrier. Now there's a little bit of a barrier with A2P 10DLC, but previously there was absolutely no barrier to entry. And we would just endlessly spam. I think that's where the states are taking it upon themselves, or cities are taking it upon themselves to regulate some of these things.
Do you think it's a positive for serious investors? Like you said, like by raising that barrier of entry, it means there's less people doing it
Okay,
effectively. So does that create opportunity for the serious investors who are going to
I
be
believe
willing to
so.
get
Yeah,
credentials or what they need to do?
absolutely. Yeah, I believe so. As long as there is a way for people to still buy off-market deals, like the
Mhm.
law that North Carolina was trying to pass, or it's they're looking to pass this, where it just absolutely makes buying off-market deals illegal. That was basically effectively what they were trying to do.
Right.
Just make it illegal to buy off-market deals. Just because of some bad actors, like everybody ends up getting impacted by it. That's where you have no control. Like if you cannot buy a home directly from, a seller that you're gonna flip, then what do you do? Like you have no choice. It's not the technology, it's like the law that, makes it impossible for you to do that thing.
In the lead generation world, when the one-to-one consent came about and didn't end up going through on January 27th, it was interesting. We were very concerned about it and where marketing was going to go, but it was just very easy to see that like it's just whoever's going to adapt is going to win, and it really is just raising the bar. And so
Right,
after we spent a tremendous amount of development money figuring out how to do one-to-one consent and being compliant with the law that never passed, it gave us like a tremendous amount of confidence that it was like, oh well, then that's fine, great. Like I hope they pass something at one point because it's really just going to set us that
yeah.
much further above anybody else.
Raising the bar is good, but just like closing the gate on something, then you can't do anything about it. They just made it illegal to market to directly to homeowners. Like, what do you do with that? It affects everyone. There's nothing that you can do. Hey, if I go through this qualification, then I can do it. No, it's like you cannot market to anyone to buy off-market houses.
And it's interesting now, actually, that I think about this because in Canada, you cannot B2C solicit through phone or text. So, like, there's
Right,
no texting your phone up here. And the real estate investment community is super small, is very, very,
right,
very small. And I believe it has to do with that. I believe that that's what's opened it up in the States is that it was, to your point, super easy to go buy data, which you can't do in Canada either. Buy
right,
data, start calling homeowners because it was relatively novel and they weren't getting beaten up so much at the time. And so now up here, advertising works quite well for like, do you want a cash offer on your home as opposed to getting full retail through a realtor because the ads are novel, right? People, there's no
right,
bandit signs, there's no text messages. Like it's novel and they're just curious. They're like, oh yeah, like
right.
maybe I would. So
Yeah, which is good. I mean, honestly, I think it's good. Like, I cannot tell you how many like text messages and voicemail I get about random things. I would rather not. Like, I would rather go online and look for a company that's actually going to help me rather than like people just endlessly texting me and calling me without my permission. So I think that where eventually I think the industry is going to go. But some states are going to be different from the others. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that lands. But yeah, that's the stuff I would be a little bit concerned about that's out of anybody's control, and a state started making investing essentially illegal, where you could not even get a license as an agent and still do that. They make it illegal. They make it very, very extremely difficult to buy properties to flip.
my last kind of question for you was regarding the like your accounting and KPI tools in ReSimpli. So for anybody who's doing like say 30 wholesale deals a year, what's your best tip for leveraging ReSimpli's accounting and KPI tools to expand into hybrid models, like combining wholesaling with flips or rentals for long-term wealth?
It's like a almost like a job that you've created, right? I mean, there's no like if you have a wholesaling business for the most part, it doesn't have any value to it. Like you cannot take a wholesaling business that's doing seven figure in revenue and go sell that for certain multiples. It's basically it's like I have a job that I have to do until when I was working for an account. I could not go sell that job to someone and say, hey, would you pay me money to do this? It's kind of like the same thing. So people want to have a long-term vision of, okay, I'm doing this, but where do I go from here? Or you could continue to do that, but think about building some long-term wealth for yourself, which is not going to be wholesaling. Wholesaling is absolutely amazing. I love wholesaling. I mean, we've done like 7, 8 wholesaling deals. It's like quick infusion of cash, but then that's not the long-term wealth building goal, the plan. You want to take that money. So where we simply can help is, again, telling you what marketing channels are working most effectively, where you're getting the highest ROI, where you're not getting the highest ROI, and doubling down on things that are giving the best ROI. So if, let's say, for every dollar that you put in lead solo, you get 5x. For every dollar that you put in PPT, let's say you get 3x. Why would you not put more money into lead solo when it clearly tells you if it's giving you 5x on your money? So you do that, the more money you put into it, the more money you make, and then start looking at if you're doing flipping, wholesaling, retailing, like you can look within recently how much money you're making it from each each exit type, and then optimize for the one that's giving you the highest ROI in your business. And then think about the long-term wealth building, like start investing in some rental properties or mutual funds or whatever you feel comfortable with.
So you're giving them an analytics suite so they can optimize both sides of it. So it's not just optimizing the marketing channels. They could effectively be optimizing the dispo strategies and dispo channels.
Correct. Correct.
It's very
Yeah.
interesting. I was in a mastermind a little while ago, and somebody there was speaking about something that I had never thought of before. And what he knew was his monthly metric, how much equity in dollars he was gaining per month from his rental properties. And it was basically just a number of the rent payments that went towards his debt services principals. And so
Right.
he knew that he was gaining $74,000 a month of
Right.
equity in his own properties outside of
The cash flow.
and outside of the cash flow, correct?
Yeah.
So that was super interesting to me, and I never thought about it that way, which is probably why I have always slept on rentals. I obviously understand it intellectually, but I have a hard time attributing it back to the marketing spend and like how much money am I actually making off this
Right.
rental when it's cash flowing $300 a month or something like that. But
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
like I could put together a model that it's going to, the in 20 years, if that house is going to be worth, whatever it's going to be worth, 600K versus the 200K I bought it for. But I don't know that for sure. It's just a model where with an actual number like that, he can trace back and have a much better model for knowing what his wealth creation
Yeah.
is
And then
over
you
time.
get the tax benefits that you get in US, like if you add that on top of that, the write-offs that you can do, that just makes it even more higher ROI.
I think that's all the questions I have for you. What is there anything I didn't ask about REsimpli that you think people should know?
No, I mean, I think you did a pretty good job of asking the right question. I enjoyed the conversation.
I appreciate having you on. This has been a lot
Thank you,
of
man.
fun. I know our company has worked with your company before doing webinars and stuff, and I look forward to doing the next one with your team as well. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.